The man who was convicted of kidnapping and murdering a Lexington man back in 2013 has been sentenced. Coming up, we'll explain why no one on either side of the case is happy with the decision.
A concerned neighbor told us about dozens of neglected animals at a home in Winchester. When we were here, police arrived, and they tell us it's definitely a case of animal abuse. I'll have that story coming up.
Health officials in Lexington want people to know a child born in Fayette County tested positive for Zika poses no risk to the public.
WKYT News starts now with breaking news.
Good afternoon from WKYT News. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Barbara Bailey. We start with a breaking news alert. The Fayette County Health Department says a baby has been born in Lexington with the Zika virus.
This is the 10th Zika case reported in Kentucky, but the first in Lexington. WKYT's Victor Puente is live at the Health Department with the latest breaking details on this. Victor?
Well, health department officials say they want people to know that this mother and her child pose no risk to the public. They're still asking people to take precautions when it comes to mosquitoes. Now, the health department says this mother had traveled to a known Zika-affected area early in her pregnancy, and that her child, who was born in Lexington, showed the presence of Zika antibodies after being tested by the Center for Disease Control. They say that means the child had the virus, but it had since left their system. They also say the child shows no effects of Zika. The virus can cause microcephaly, or small head size, in children infected in the womb, along with other developmental issues. The commissioner of the health department isn't saying which hospital the child was born at or where the mother had traveled to, but he did say, like each of the other 9 cases, the virus was contracted outside of Kentucky.
In each case, in all cases, they've all been what we call travel related. They were all contracted from exposure to in another country, all right, internationally.
While the child isn't showing any adverse effects of the virus, Humboldt said they are recommending follow-up care just to be sure. Live in Lexington, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Victor, thank you. Humboldt is advising pregnant women or women planning to become pregnant to consider canceling or delaying any travel to Zika-affected areas of the world. Now, we have more information about the Zika virus and an interactive map showing how many cases have been confirmed in each state. That's up now on WKYT.com.
Police are investigating alleged animal cruelty in central Kentucky. Neighbors called police after finding several dogs running around Melbourne Street in Winchester and claimed there were several more inside a home. When the police chief arrived, he could not go past the front door because of the smell. WKYT's Michelle Chamberlain is live in Clark County now with the very latest. Michelle?
There were close to a dozen animals outside of this home on Melbourne Street when we arrived this morning. As you can see in the driveway, a concerned neighbor put out water and food for these animals. She called police last night after she noticed the animals had gotten out of this home. She said she found one dog dead in the street. She said the person living in the home was evicted about a month ago. Police arrived while we were here. Winchester Police Chief Kevin Palmer says the inside of the home is unlivable, smells unbearable, and that it was so bad he couldn't get past the front door.
You have to clean up after animals, and obviously it's been weeks or months since anybody's, or maybe never, tried to clean up after them and take care of them.
He brought in animal control, and the detective just left this home within the last hour after removing the animals. He told me, quote, "Nothing on this planet deserves to be treated like this." He said there were at least 20 animals inside and outside this home, and police are currently working to learn who owned these animals and who owned this home. Live in Winchester, Michelle Chamberlain, WKYT.
The animals will be evaluated today and then housed at the Clark County Animal Shelter. And the people there tell us donations for their care are appreciated.
A man convicted in a high-profile Lexington murder learned his fate this morning. Mark Taylor was sentenced to 49 years in prison for the December 2013 murder of UK chef Alex Johnson. WKYT's Mark Barber is at the Fayette County Courthouse with some reaction from Johnson's father. Mark?
Alex Johnson's father says he is relieved and upset. Relieved because the man convicted of killing his son has finally been sentenced, but upset because he thinks Taylor should have received the death penalty. Instead, a judge sentenced the 31-year-old to 49 years in prison.
Is that justice?
No.
Lee Johnson's son, Alex, was killed back in 2013. Last month, the jury found his best friend, Mark Taylor, guilty of murder, kidnapping, and tampering with evidence. Johnson was a UK chef. He also sold marijuana with Taylor. His body was found floating in a barrel in the Kentucky River after Taylor told another friend he was taking over their business. Since Taylor was not eligible for the death penalty, Johnson's father is urging lawmakers to pass legislation that would require stiffer sentences for people convicted of premeditated murder.
The legislators said if they can get the law passed, they'll name it after Alex. That'll help a little.
Taylor's attorneys are also not satisfied with today's sentencing. They're appealing the judge's decision to the Kentucky Supreme Court.
I don't care what happens to Mark Taylor. I really wished he would be put to death.
Taylor will get credit for the time he has already served. He will be eligible for parole in 20 years. In Lexington, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Mark, thank you. And Taylor's attorney thinks it will be at least 2 years before the Supreme Court hands down an opinion on their appeal. As a Lexington man prepares to head to court to answer to charges in a gruesome murder, we have new details emerging about the case. 24-year-old Patrick Jones is accused of killing his ex-girlfriend, 20-year-old Haley Burwa. Police say her body was found dismembered and in 2 dumpsters along Malibu Drive early yesterday. And according to police reports, Jones killed Bourgeois with a wrench and then admitted to a friend that he had committed the crime. A couple shared at least 1 child. We're going to take a closer look at the case coming up in a report on WKYT News at 12:30.
Well, it is another hazy, hot, and humid day in the Bluegrass with temperatures back up in the 90s. But remember, that heat index will have it feeling more like 100. There's also a chance for a few storms this afternoon. WKYT meteorologist Micah Harris is live in our First Alert Weather Center now with a look ahead. Micah?
Yeah, Tuesday we hit 91 degrees, Wednesday 92. Thursday, yesterday was at 93, and today I do believe we'll be right there in the low 90s. Once again, we're on pace for that, at least. It all depends on if you get a shower or thunderstorm over you. Now, the area that I'm watching very closely is this area up toward the river and just north of the river. Head off toward the river toward Indianapolis, kind of in between there. That's where I expect some of these thunderstorms to spark up and head southbound. You got to remember that this is no widespread weather today, no widespread severe weather. Could you have a couple of strong storms? Yes, possible. It's hit and miss as we go into the afternoon, and that's the only saving grace we see outside, because look at these temperatures already mid-80s. The past few days we have been exactly where we are now at noontime, and we have finished off in the low 90s, and that's why I expect it again today. Now, storm or two will be in the forecast. This 92, though, I promise you this, if you haven't been outside yet, just wait deep into the afternoon. This 92 is actually hotter, feels hotter than 93 from yesterday. I'll explain that, and I'm going to talk about your weekend forecast, show you if we have any storms coming up.
Okay, we'll see in just a little bit. And with a forecast like that, ice cream sounds pretty good on a hot day like this. A Central Kentucky business is giving away the sweet treat to show its support for law enforcement today. Madison Health and Rehabilitation in Richmond is offering up free ice cream to local police officers. The giveaway will last until 4 o'clock this afternoon at their location there on Meadowlark Drive. A new exhibit that challenges visitors to think about race from several different perspectives is coming to the Muhammad Ali Center in Louisville. The display is called Race. Why Are We So Different? A spokeswoman for the center says the topic of race has become increasingly significant in recent months, and she's hoping the exhibit will encourage community dialogue and, quote, spur interest in learning about the perceptions and realities. The Ali Center says the exhibit will open up on September 24th. New designs have been released for the long-delayed Centerpoint project in downtown Lexington.
The sketches show the latest plans for a 10-story office tower, an 18-story Marriott hotel, and a 12-story Marriott Residence Inn. Workers started pouring the concrete for the underground parking garage in the spring after several years of delays. Developer Dudley Webb has apologized and now says it could be completed in less than 2 years.
All right, we'll keep tabs. Hillary Clinton could announce her running mate as early as this afternoon as preparations get underway for next week's Democratic National Convention. We'll have a preview coming up on Kentucky's #1 Midday News.
Also ahead, it's Prince George's 3rd birthday today, and his parents are celebrating with some newly released pictures. We'll take a look next on WKYT. Welcome back to WKYT News at noon. Donald Trump and Mike Pence are fresh off their 4-day Republican convention in Cleveland.
But now the attention will shift to Hillary Clinton and the Democrats, and who will her vice presidential candidate be? Jamie Yuccas is in Philadelphia, the site of next week's Democratic National Convention.
Donald Trump and Mike Pence got up this morning and thanked volunteers who helped run the Republican National Convention this week.
We created one of the most successful conventions in the history of conventions.
Last night, Trump delivered an acceptance speech that was described as dark and ominous, focusing on the problems facing the country.
Homicides last year increased by 17%. ISIS has spread across the region and the entire world.
One of the few solutions he offered to the problems was himself.
I alone can fix it.
And he made a promise to those Americans who feel left behind.
I am with you, I will fight for you, and I will win for you.
Hillary Clinton mocked that line on Twitter, saying he's with everyone except women, Muslims, Latinos, and others.
Clinton will get to make her case to the American public when the Democratic National Convention kicks off here in Philadelphia on Monday.
With that, I know we've all still got a lot of work to do to get ready for first gavel on Monday.
Democrats unveiled the convention stage this morning, and while they work on last-minute preps, Clinton has some work to do of her own. The Democratic candidate has yet to make a choice about who she wants to be her vice presidential running mate. An announcement could come as early as today. Jamie Yuccas, CBS News, Philadelphia.
And Clinton and her new running mate are expected to campaign together in Florida this weekend. So again, that announcement could come very soon, within hours. Kentucky Secretary of State Allison Lundergan Grimes has been added to the list of speakers at the Democratic National Convention next week. Clinton campaigned for Grimes several times in her U.S. Senate race 2 years ago, and Grimes joined Clinton on stage when she campaigned in Lexington earlier this year ahead of Kentucky's Democratic primary. We may not be hearing so much about the divorce drama going on between Kentucky native Johnny Depp and actress Amber Heard in the future.
Depp is trying to keep details about his divorce proceedings confidential. According to People magazine, a judge granted Depp's petition to have all witnesses sign a disclosure form and for the couple's financial information to be kept off the record. In May, Heard accused Depp of domestic violence and filed for a restraining order. The couple had been married for 15 months when they separated. Well, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge have released new photos of Prince George to mark his 3rd birthday today. The photos show the third in line to the British throne sitting on a swing and playing with the family dog, Lupo. The pictures were taken earlier this month at the family's country home in Norfolk.
He's accused of killing and dismembering his ex-girlfriend, and he'll be in court answering to those charges. I'm Kristen Kennedy in Lexington, and I'll let you know what we found out about Patrick Jones.
Heat advisory across the I-65 corridor back toward the west. I'm going to explain why you're not seeing it for everybody else and if I expect those to be expanded. I'll have that coming up next.
Now, your zone-by-zone forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
Still not seeing any thunderstorms in the forecast right now, but that could change later on this afternoon. I'm meteorologist Micah Harris. Here's the breakdown for you. As we're still looking at that mixture of sun and clouds outside, but all focus is up toward the north, where there is a void spot just north of, say, the 71 corridor, north of the river. There is an area that there's not much going on, but what you're going to be seeing here in the next couple of hours, getting that heating going on, a lot of moisture streaming on in, it is inevitable that we will see at least a couple of rumbles of thunder out of this, and that will help our heat advisory. Now, let me tell you this. I just checked all the recent values, the heat index values. Lewis County is our first county now to hit 100 degrees there for a heat index. That's the way it feels right now in Lewis County. Now, most of us are in the low to mid 90s, the way it feels at this moment. But the reason why only these counties are shaded there in heat advisory through Saturday and not, say, Lexington or 75 corridor back toward Mountain and Hal Rogers Parkway. Here's the reason why. Because we are just now starting to see a lot of that moisture creep on in here. 68 Jackson, 68 London. Just 2 hours ago, everybody in eastern Kentucky were there in the 60s. Harlan right now at 64 degrees. But look toward Bowling Green, 76, Owensboro, 76 degrees. That is some nasty, nasty feeling right there. Not good. 92 by the afternoon. As we continue to travel off into the evening hours, we'll still have at least a rumble of thunder here or there. Now, none of this is a washout. There'll be heavy downpours. There's no doubt about that. There's plenty of moisture. It's kind of like that tropical downpour that you're going to be experiencing if you are under it. It's not for everybody. Then we head off towards your weekend. By evening, it looks like it should start to break apart and just kind of fade away just a bit. It's not gone by the evening, but it starts to fade by the evening. And then toward the weekend, 91 on both of those days, Saturday and Sunday. Neither one of those days, great chances of rain, both of them 30 to 40%. So still stick to the plans. A lot of fairs going on. Actually, Madison County's kicking off today. And just know it's going to be hot, humid, sticky, very, very muggy throughout the next 3 days at least. So low 90s. I always say, though, it's not about the temperatures, it's about that moisture, and it is here. Everybody's feeling it right now, and if you're not, trust me, in the next few hours, you will start to feel it. There's truth behind that one, I promise you that.
It'll just knock you down, chase you back inside.
It's kind of sticky in here because of outside.
Sure, even with the air running.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Micah. We're coming back on WKYT News in just a moment. The NBA gets caught in political crossfire.
And Mark Stoops says it's a game changer for the Kentucky football program. Dave Baker's next with sports.
Checking stocks as we head to break this afternoon. Situation is the major market indicators are pointing upward.
Coaching football in the SEC is a two-headed monster. You've got to be able to produce on the field and sell your program outside the lines. And this is the time of year when the coaches are ready to stop selling and start working with their teams. Yesterday, the Cats began their day with their first tour around the brand new $45 million training center. In his annual address to the Lexington Rotary Club later in the day, Mark Stoops said the stadium expansion was for the fans, but this upgrade is all about the players.
Very proud of the work that we did to raise the funds to build this building. You know, the stadium was one thing, but to build this training center for our team is a real game changer. It will certainly help us in recruiting, but most importantly, it's going to help our players. They deserve the very best. We compete in the very best league in college football, bar none, and you know, our players deserve it.
It's 3 years down the road, but Toledo will be the home opener for the Cats in 2019. The two schools have never met on the football field. After the opener, the Cats will go on the road to Eastern Michigan. Kansas City Royals, guess what? They got that trip to the White House yesterday. The parent club of the Lexington Legends winning the World Series last year. This is the first time they could schedule, and they got a 12-minute ceremony. President Obama calling the Royals one of the grittiest, most complete teams we've seen in a long time after the Royals rallied 8 times in the postseason. And the NBA is moving next year's All-Star Game out of Charlotte because of its objections to a North Carolina law, House Bill 2, which limits anti-discrimination protections for lesbians, gays, bisexual, and transgender people in the state. The league has expressed opposition to the law since it was enacted in March and said it hopes to reschedule an All-Star Game for Charlotte in 2019. The league hopes to announce a new site for next year's game in the near future. Tonight on the Big Blue Insider with Dick Gabriel, we'll hear about the media tour of that new practice facility, plus EKU's new quarterback Matty Mock, the Missouri transfer, and the Colonel's head coach Mark Elder. That's all at 6 on 630 WLAP. Coming up on WKYT News beginning at 4, we'll show you that new facility as well. As we mentioned, the media tour later this afternoon. That and much more headed your way. But for now, guys, that's a look at sports on this Friday.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Buzz.
And there's much more to come in our next half hour of WKYT News at noon.
A merger has been approved for one of Lexington's biggest employers.
I'm Phil Pendleton in Lincoln County at 12:30. An important meeting set for Monday night in which the fate of the local ambulance service could be decided.
Tonight's Mega Millions jackpot is $15 million, and tomorrow night's Powerball is $390 million.